to, look around after the meetings are over and whatever. One thing I wanted to share that really, really stuck with me these past 3 years at IBM was this quote, "Take your seat at the big kids table," from Natalia Berti-Noguera. She started a company called Pipeline Angels, and this is one of the startups that I worked with there for a year or two. And her company is all about women and for women. So in the business world, if you want to start a company, the way it works is that you try to get a fledgling idea off the ground, you kind of cultivate it for a little bit, and then you have to go convince people, often men, to fund your idea. And that's called angel investing. So she is training women to be angel investors because often women who maybe, they've had successful careers, they're making a decent amount of money, often they automatically lean into charitable giving rather than business investment. And charitable giving is great, but she's trying to empower women to let them know that if they want to be investors, they can do that too. And she also trains them to invest in women founders, so women who are starting companies specifically around social impact, so like business models that are meant to tackle a social problem. So that was a fun gig, but she told me this one day and was sort of like a quasi-mentor. And when I started at IBM, my boss kind of threw me into a few situations where I was asked to lead projects globally, and some of these people on my team had been at IBM for 20 and 30 years, and so I felt a little uncomfortable guiding their work or speaking up and trying to direct the way a project should go in a way that was still cognizant of the fact that they had way more experience than I did. So this kept just sort of coming in the back of my mind, like, don't wait for these older experienced people to give you permission to speak or to share an idea. You've been trusted to lead a project, so just be confident in that and go ahead and find a way to say things and to offer advice in a way that is not threatening, in a way that kind of works for everybody. So I really appreciated that. And then the thing that I wanted to leave with you to close was this formula that has worked for me every time that I've sort of hit a bump in the road. And in thinking about how I got through that difficult period when it seemed like no one wanted to hire me, and how I ended up with a career that I really do enjoy, this is what came to mind. Oh, can you see it? No, I'll tell you what it says. We have a, thank you so much. Anyway, it says identify what you want.
Works. Turn all. Can you turn them all?
Yeah. You might not be able to.
Press the ones that are lit.
I think someone's behind her.
It's okay.
Lawrence. Is that?
Well, first of all, it says identify what you want. And then the thing about this is, if you don't think about your ideal career situation and your ideal day even, how you want to spend your time, who you want to be around, no one else is going to put the effort in to create that situation remind your brain to go back to that inner mentor, who's actually you, and you think about what she would advise you to do, and oftentimes it's pretty clear. It can be a good way of just sorting out the junk that is in your way right now, or just is kind of clouding the next 2 or 3 years, and help you see the big picture. So I love that idea. Since a lot of us, might not find the ideal jobs, I mean, I would have never thought that I'd be working at a corporate tech company. But what I really believe and has sort of made my life really full these past few years is you just have to keep that childlike sense of delight and wonder alive. And it doesn't have to be in your work or in your art. It can be in the things that you make for dinner, or the way that you decorate for parties that you throw, or the things that you read, or the things that you write, or the way that you write, or the way that you dress. So there are all these little sort of moments to delight yourself artistically. So then all the pressure doesn't lie on, oh, I have to get a job in this area of art in which I got my degree, which can be a lot of pressure. Actually, there are so many ways to work art and artful experiences into your life. And there is, kind of, I had a realization, because I've literally had artists say to me, like, sort of groan when I say I work for a corporation, and, don't do that to your fellow artists. Just support them no matter what they're doing. But what I've found is that there are corners of the world that are starving for art, and it might be inside the corporation. And I'll do something a little more creative or outside the box at work, and someone will think this is the greatest thing ever, and it's because you need to inject your creativity and your ability to bring that artistic perspective to things into all corners of the world, and people really need it and will appreciate it. So that's a great way to think about things if you find yourself in a job that doesn't feel like what you would imagine you would be doing at age 20. These are a few books that I've really loved along the way. Playing Big has the inner mentor visualization, and it also talks a lot about how women specifically are groomed to be good students and have a very strong inner critic, and how we often rely on feedback, criticism, and praise, and those two things kind of keep us going or stop us in our tracks. And so I definitely recommend that. It's really cool. And then Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott is specifically about writing, but it's kind of life advice as well. And coming out of college, that was one that I enjoyed. Imaginarium by Claire Rosen. This is by a photographer, and she talks a lot about the creative process and how to explore who you are as an artist and what kind of artist you are, and how that shapes your work and your interests and the things that you create. And then Pema Children is a Buddhist nun, and she does a lot of really beautiful books. This one is Fail, Fail Again, Fail Better. And so, yeah, I would definitely recommend those. I would love to hear, how things go for you in the future and whatever the